hope everyone is enjoying the luncheon, and now we have a wonderful keynote address which will feed your minds while you're enjoying your lunch. Thank you. Our keynote speaker is former U.S. Senator Paul Trible, the president of Christopher Newport University. In his 22-year leadership, he has shepherded Christopher Newport in its rise from a once largely overlooked extension campus of William and Mary to a university that is a paradigm of effectiveness in teaching and learning. We have looked this morning at the many challenges that America must overcome to retain its internationally renowned system of higher education. President Trible, I believe, will give us a message of hope for higher education, one that could be best captured in an admonition from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night: "Be not afraid of greatness." Colleges and universities falter when they compromise the solemn duty they have to the nation to prepare young men and women for engaged, informed citizenship, service to their communities, and careers that matter to our nation. Christopher Newport did not compromise its academic standards. While some institutions believe that the bigger the cafeteria line of course options grows, the more popular the school will be, Christopher Newport took a different path, coming together under Paul Trible's leadership to define what it means to be an educated person and to implement that consensus in requirements. Only 24 of over 1,100 colleges and universities that ACTR surveys in its core curriculum project, What Will They Learn?, earn an A rating. We don't do grade inflation at ACTA. But if we had an A+ rating, Christopher Newport would have it, fulfilling every one of the subject requirements in ACTA's core and going yet beyond. It is the only public university in the nation to have achieved such stature. I once asked the provost of Christopher Newport, physicist David Dowdy, who's here with us today, what he looks for in hiring faculty. He responded, I'm paraphrasing, "Someone who will involve students inside and outside the classroom in the frontiers of knowledge, someone who doesn't split his or her academic life into teaching or research, but joins the two in being a mentor to students." It has been ACTA's privilege to work with President Trible and Provost Dowdy, and I am honored now to introduce Paul Trible to this ATHENA Roundtable.
Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you. Michael, thank you for those kind words and very generous words of introduction. I first came to this city when I was but 29 years of age. Rosemary and I came to Washington when I was elected to the United States Congress. And when I arrived, I found there were two young congressmen just about my age. A young congressman from Tennessee, a fellow named Al Gore, a young congressman from Indiana, a fellow named Dan Quayle. And it was written about us then that one of us would become president. And I did, president of Christopher Newport University. I don't know about those other fellows, but I have the best job in the world. I have been richly blessed in my life, but I have never enjoyed anything more than leading this young, vibrant university. In 1996, Christopher Newport was a commuter school, yes, born of the College of William and Mary, but a school of declining enrollment and very poor prospects for the future. The school was, in fact, going out of business. I guess that's why they gave me the chance to become president. 90 days after I became president, I pulled everyone together, faculty and staff, and shared the audacious vision that Christopher Newport would become a great university. That with the help of a lot of wonderful people, we would create one of America's preeminent public liberal arts universities. I said we reject the notion of incremental progress. We will be in the business of dramatic transformation. And everything that we do will be done at the highest levels of excellence. Great dreams have power and consequence. And it's our job to impart great dreams into the lives of our students and back into the life of this nation. Those dreams have become reality on our campus. We have been richly, richly blessed. And this notion of excellence is so important. The great tragedy in America today is that it's been lost. It must be found once again. With the help of a lot of extraordinary people, great things have happened on our campus. Our applications have exploded by more than 700%. This year we'll receive 8,000 applications for a freshman class of just 1,200 students. The quality of our students has soared. The average high school GPA of our freshman class has increased in 2 decades from 2.8 to 3.8. And our SAT scores, critical reading and math, have increased by well over 200 points. Today, Christopher Newport stands with the College of William and Mary and the University of Virginia as the 3 most selective public schools in Virginia. Those schools are well over hundreds of years old. They have billion-dollar endowments. We're just 50 years old. Our endowment is $30 million. And we stand with those marvelous schools. We've added over 100 full-time faculty positions, not to get bigger, but to drive down the size of our classes and increase student success. Listen to this, a public university where 60% of our classes have 19 students or less, where this semester only 26 classes have more than 50 students, where there are absolutely no classes with hundreds and hundreds of students and no teaching assistants. On our campus, we have real professors engaging high-ability students in small classes. We've completed over $1 billion of capital construction, creating a breathtakingly beautiful campus that marries the rich history and architecture of Virginia and 21st century technology. We're unapologetic about building buildings of civic proportions and beautiful architecture. Why do we do it? Because our job is to instruct and inspire. And there's nothing that instructs and inspires more powerfully than great art and great architecture. I want our students to have great dreams for their lives and for the life of this country. And everything that we do, the way we live our lives, the lessons that we teach, the buildings that we create, everything is intended to produce that result. We're mindful that we must teach our students to love what is beautiful. Isn't that what Plato told us? Indeed, shouldn't that be the object of education? Princeton Review, Kiplinger's Forbes, U.S. News and World Report have all praised Christopher Newport. U.S. News and World Report has named Christopher Newport as America's school to watch for making, and I quote, the most promising and innovative changes in academics, faculty, students, campus, and facilities, end of quote. Among the nearly 300 schools in U.S. News rankings of the Southern Regional Schools, we now stand fourth among the publics and 11th overall, and every year we jump over another school or two. But most importantly, our students love this school, and they bring our campus alive with their energy and their enthusiasm and their intellect. We have been blessed. Few schools have come so far so quickly. How has it happened? I believe the secret to our success is that we're passionate about minds and hearts. Every school talks about minds. We care about minds and hearts. Our primary purpose is to form good citizens and leaders. We're a community that's all about leadership, honor, and civic engagement. We believe that real success is a life well lived. We want our students to choose to live a life of meaning and consequence and purpose. And at Christopher Newport, we have a name for that. It's called a life of significance. Because we care about minds and hearts and lives of significance, our curriculum is based on the liberal arts and sciences. We emphasize the study of leadership, and we've developed a nationally respected President's Leadership Program. Our core curriculum is rigorous, cited by the American Council of Trustees and Alumni as the most rigorous core curriculum of any public college or university in America. It's because we care about hearts and minds and creating good citizens and leaders that our students perform hundreds of hours of community service. And we have a speaking tradition and an honor code, and we built a chapel. We want our students to lead and serve and love and engage and set the world on fire. That's what makes Christopher Newport special. And that's what makes Christopher Newport an irresistible force. We want our students to live lives of significance, and we want them to be successful. And our liberal learning core enriches their minds and it stirs their hearts. They must be successful as students, and they must be successful in the world beyond. This is especially important today as so many people are losing faith in the importance of a college education. We read articles in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and other publications that question the value of a college education. Indeed, the need for a college degree. These articles question whether it's time well spent. They question whether the cost and the time spent at a college produces a significant payoff. I submit college is absolutely worth it, but you have to do college right. At Christopher Newport, we tell our students there are 5 things they need to do to be successful. to do college right. First, you go to class. Very important. Not going to class is simply fatal. The best students always go to class. The students who could cut don't cut. Woody Allen wasn't totally accurate when he said that 90% of success is showing up, but he was onto something. Showing up and following the thread of class is important. Second, we expect our students to give us 25 hours per week of concentrated study out of class. This will virtually assure success, and it isn't onerous. Most students are in class 15 hours each week. Add to that 25 hours of concentrated study, and you have a 40-hour work week. That's what most people do, although some of us put in a good deal more. We aren't asking the moon here. We're simply saying, treat your academic experience like a full-time job. Next, our students must answer the question, what do I love to do? And the question, what am I really good at doing? Taking an array of classes in the liberal arts and sciences and spending 40 hours a week on academic matters will help students find the answers to those questions. If a student loves an academic subject, then putting in the time required is a labor of love. But if putting in the time is proving difficult, then very likely the student's interests lie elsewhere. And surely if the grades are unsatisfactory, the student is getting an answer to a very important question. What am I really good at doing? A third question of the college experience that's important and should be answered begins with data from the U.S. Census Bureau about the percentage of adults 25 years old and older who have a college degree. Listen to this. Back in 1950, only about 4% of adults had a college degree. In the late 70s, it was about 13%. Now it's about 30%. So back in the 50s, if you had a college degree, any degree, you were part of an elite 4%. Even in the late 70s, you were part of a 13% minority. But now you're nothing special. You're part of a monster minority of 30%. So the third great question of the college experience is this: what can I do to make myself valuable? In thinking about landing a position or beginning a career, the student must ask, how do I set myself apart? We offer our students 6 concrete answers to these questions, which we call pursuing the axes of excellence. The first, get a high GPA. A high GPA is always going to make you stand out, and the higher the better. Second, take math until you get a C. This is what we tell our students, and it works. Listen, you had philosophers this morning. You've got a practitioner now. This works. Take math until you get a C. If you take pre-calculus and you get an A or B, you need to keep going. Keep pushing. See just how far along the axis you can go. Take calculus 1, calculus 2, multivariable calculus, even differential equations. Why? Because the world will pay for people with good quantitative skills. Now, a student might object saying, wait, I'm going to be an English major. Why do I need to take differential equations? Well, suppose the student lands a position with an online news magazine, and the assignment is to interview scientists or quants on Wall Street. If she or he has had differential equations, they'll do a far better interview with either group because they'll understand the differential equations being used by those scientists or those quants to build their models. Simple as that. Third, take writing until you get a C. You see, the world will pay for good writers, so don't stop with the minimum. If you get an A or B in our writing class, you need to press on. Now, we require all of our students to take a writing class, followed by a literature class, followed by 2 writing-intensive classes, which are frequently their major. But if writing is something that you're doing well, we tell them, take our upper-level writing classes, writing for the professions, writing for the nonprofits, creative writing. Build a writing portfolio that you can use to showcase your writing talent. Now, the fourth axis is foreign language. We require all students to take 3 semesters of a foreign language. And we tell our students, if you're doing well, keep going. Keep pushing on this axis. See if you can get to proficiency. Why? Because as Tom Friedman wrote, the world is flat. The economy is global. Companies will pay students with fluency in a second or third language. Fifth, take programming, software development. Why? Because software is eating the world. That phrase is the title of an excellent article in the Wall Street Journal a few years ago, written by Mark Andreessen, the author of the first widely used internet browser, Mosaic. Mark has gone on to be a successful venture capitalist. And in this article, he makes the point that many, many jobs today are open to those who can sling code. And so students really need to see this as a strength if they have it. I would argue that software is even more prevalent now than when that article was written. Sixth, sample economics, because it's a great indicator of a business minor or major. And if you do well, see just how far you can push on this axis, because a business minor is an excellent adjunct to any degree. Now, here's the kicker. At Christopher Newport, we require all of these. We actually require 2 math courses above college algebra. As I mentioned, we require 2 English courses, 1 writing, 1 literature, and then 2 writing intensive courses beyond that. We require foreign language up to the 3rd semester. We require a course in economics. We don't require a course in programming, but we do require a logical reasoning requirement which programming courses fulfill, as do courses in philosophy. So in requiring students to fulfill our liberal learning core curriculum, we're also requiring them to sample these axes, and we're helping students discover which ones they like and are good at, and then we challenge them to go beyond the minimum, to leverage their abilities and their interest and make themselves more marketable and to make themselves stand out. And the thing is, and I'm sure you picked up on this by now, these axes of excellence encapsulate 5 of the 7 subjects ACTA deems important to the general education curricula of colleges and universities: composition, literature, mathematics, foreign language, and economics. So what about those last 2 subjects on ACTA's list? Science and U.S. history and government. Will require 2 science classes along with 1 accompanying lab, which of course might lead a student to discover that they have an ability and a passion for science. And we all know about the demand for STEM discipline and degrees. Our provost, Dave Dowdy, who is with us today, has wonderful stories about students who took his introduction to physics called How Things Work, and how it just rocks students' boats and just ignites this passion for the sciences in their lives. Lastly, we require 1 course in an area we call civic and democratic engagement in the United States. Why is a course in history of government emphasizing public engagement so important? Oh my God, look at this world in which we live. I would posit 2 obvious reasons. America, this democracy, is founded on knowledgeable, public-spirited, and engaged participation. And because our students need to understand the impact that they as individuals can make in this society. And we give our students opportunities to realize this both in their classes and in the world beyond. Because on our campus there is this expectation that they will perform meaningful, consequential service. So this brings me back to where we started. We expect our students to be successful, to finish in 4 years, to go on to great graduate schools and great careers. And we also expect them to live meaningful, consequential lives and to have a positive impact on the world. It is my firm belief, as I've tried to communicate by telling this story, that a robust general education curriculum of the type that ACTA advocates and that we at Christopher Newport have implemented will empower success and significance in the lives of students. I see that every day on our campus, in the lives of our graduates. But also be encouraged and be assured through the remarkable transformation of this young, vibrant university that I've been given this marvelous opportunity to lead over 2 decades. That a university that truly, unapologetically embraces the liberal learning core can succeed gloriously in spite of these challenging times. Students will come, families will pay, and universities will flourish. Now I'm going to bring these comments to a close with a story. It's the old politician in me, but a story. May I do this? One story? It is the responsibility of parents and those of us entrusted with the lives of students to pass on values. We must do this consciously from one generation to another. And we simply are not doing that. And that's what leads to these problems that we've been talking about. The kinds of things that I've heard about today simply would not occur on my campus. Because we had built a community of 5,000 students a public university, students drawn from throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia and beyond, representing the rich diversity of this country, who know each other, who respect each other and the differences of each other. One of the traditions and one that we honor is a speaking tradition. If you walked across our campus, my students will look you in the eye. They will speak. They will smile. They will open doors for you. Now, why do we do that? Why do we expect our students to do that? And why do our students embrace that tradition and honor that tradition? It is not simply that if we pass people by and we smile, that it makes them happier, although that is a gift. But it's this. If we walk through life and we look people in the eye and we ignore them, what we're saying is, you have no worth, you have no value, I don't care about you. Everyone has worth, everyone has value, and we must honor the humanity of every person who crosses our path. That is why we have a speaking tradition at Christopher Newport University. And that perhaps is the most important lesson that we could possibly impart to our students. Those are the kinds of lessons that we have to impart to our students. It wasn't too long ago that I was walking across the campus, one of the oldest universities in this land, another great Virginia university. I was visiting that community as I was recruiting students, and I wanted to walk across the campus to be inspired by the history and the architecture of the campus. And I walked across that campus for about 30 minutes, and not one person looked me in the eye or spoke or smiled. Not one person on that campus in any way engaged anyone that passed them by. I was stunned. I grabbed a young man and I said, I made him speak. Where are you from? I said, tell me, why is it that no one on this campus engages anyone else in any way? And this is what he said. He said, you know, the university is a microcosm of the world. He said, you know, if you were walking the streets of New York, nobody would speak to you. That's just the way the world works. I walked away and I thought to myself, how sad is this? You see, at Christopher Newport, we're not interested in the way the world is. We're interested in the way the world ought to be. We're not interested in conforming to the world. We're interested in transforming the world. I'm here to tell you that ACTA is not interested in the way the world is. ACTA is interested in the way the world ought to be. ACTA is not interested in conforming to the world. ACTA is interested in transforming the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you.